And all right, here we are. It's April 1st, 2022. It's the Beyond the Mat podcast here. A lot of fake news coming out this morning. I woke up, rumors all over the place. Day before WrestleMania, all kinds of clickbait everywhere. Got people talking about The Undertaker. The Undertaker could be the mystery opponent for Seth Rollins. Shane McMahon, he's going to get involved in something. Elias. We had to hear about Bray Wyatt being down there. I mean, listen, this is the biggest weekend in pro wrestling of the year. There's conventions, there's other events down there, there's other superstars that are down there that have nothing to do with WrestleMania that are there. Everybody's reading into this and putting things out that they want us to click on and look at and think that maybe something different's going to happen than what it is. You know, Dave Meltzer is notorious for putting out inaccurate news ahead of WrestleMania. The WWE itself is notorious for putting out inaccurate news ahead of WrestleMania to swerve their fans. It's what happens. Everybody's overreacting to maybe Cody's backing out. Maybe this is going to happen with Shane McMahon. Maybe that's going to happen with Undertaker. Like I say, Elias, Bray Wyatt. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of hearing about this stuff. Now, one of the things that is real news that I heard today is that Dave Meltzer reported Brock Lesnar is scheduled to be at 2 more pay-per-views post-WrestleMania. He's scheduled to be at WrestleMania Backlash and Money in the Bank on July 2nd. So this kind of muddies the waters a little bit on what my prediction was for Lesnar and Reigns' match, because a lot of what was going into this is I saw Reigns as the more full-time wrestler, and I saw Brock Lesnar as somebody who was going to take some time off. We'll get to that in a moment. Today we're going to go through my predictions for WrestleMania 38. I'm going to get through them pretty quick. We talked about some of them last night with Darnell. The only one we didn't go over with him was Omos and Bobby Lashley, and the only reason we did not go over that match is because with my co-hosts, I want them to have an even number of matches to make their predictions on for the purpose of the contest. Darnell did pick Omos, but we're not going to have that on the official predictions list just to keep it even, because if it's not, it'll get very confusing to try to pick a winner. Now, the first match I'm going to look at is Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. This has been a story that's been brewing since Bianca Belair unfairly lost the championship at SummerSlam to Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has done her heel turn. We've seen Bianca be built up in many different ways on this trek to WrestleMania. She's had the win at Elimination Chamber, sole survivor at Survivor Series, but she's come out and been a very likable babyface. During this time, I've always thought, I don't think this likable of a babyface can beat a Becky Lynch character in the current iteration that she's in. But I think that recently we've seen Bianca do some more vicious things. We've seen her with the hair whip. We've seen her injure Becky Lynch's voice box, apparently. We've also seen her, obviously, on Monday Night Raw this week, cutting the hair of Becky Lynch. And I think that right there was the illustration that Bianca Belair has the viciousness to overcome the underhanded heel tactics that Becky Lynch will employ in her matches. I think Bianca Belair is going to win this match and become the Raw Women's Champion. But before I get into any other predictions, we have to think about this, and it's something that I really had to think about when I do my predictions, is what is going to happen after WrestleMania? How is that going to impact things? And is everything going to be a happy ending? Is every belt going to change hands? Is Lynch, Flair both going to lose? The women's tag belt's going to change hands. Both the Smackdown and Raw tag belts change hands. I mean, there's a lot of things and a lot of situations where I'm looking at it, and it looks like the babyface is the one positioned to probably win, but it's not going to work out that way. Now, that being said, this is the one feud that I think has the steam and it has the build-up to carry on another month. If they wanted to not have the belt change hands and really make this an epic feud that didn't pay off at WrestleMania, they could extend this to WrestleMania Backlash and have Becky Lynch retain, Bianca Belair get a little bit more of an edge to her, and eventually beat Becky in a month or so. But I'm going to stick with Bianca Belair to win at WrestleMania, take Becky Lynch's belt. And just to clear some things up, with Bianca Belair cutting Becky Lynch's hair, yes, in storyline it made Bianca Belair seem a little bit more vicious, but Becky Lynch has gone on the record to say she wanted a new haircut. She wanted a different look going into WrestleMania. They wanted to make Becky Lynch look a little bit less attractive, less applaudable, more of a heel, because obviously we've all seen over the course of the last several months, Becky Lynch is getting more of a babyface reaction than a heel reaction typically. Moving on. SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. Obviously, Ronda's been pretty shaky on the microphone all this time. Charlotte seems to be always in this cruise control sort of heel mode where she doesn't change much. She doesn't play into whatever her opponent is saying, which I think is a detriment to the program. She does not sell the things that Rousey says or anybody else that she's ever been in a feud with as things that they say that threaten her. And I feel like that's a little bit selfish and a little bit going into business for yourself. Because in this case, it's been making Ronda appear weak and ineffective in a situation where Ronda already appears that way because she's just not very animated and not somebody who really feels like we can get behind. Charlotte does this thing that the NWO guys used to do where a babyface would do something that's supposed to piss the heel off, and the heel would basically just act like they don't care, like they were too cool for school. Whereas you have a heel like Roman Reigns, and he sells everything. The other night he's selling that, Brock Lesnar's been pissing him off for 4 years ever since he lost last time at WrestleMania in New Orleans. And there's such a difference between the way that they drive their characters, and I always wish there was more depth to Charlotte Flair's character. With Ronda Rousey, there's no depth at all to her character. She's completely gone backwards. This I think, is a mistake that they ever brought her back. However, I do think she will win this match. Hopefully, a returning Bayley or Asuka will unseat her as the champion as quick as possible. But I think she's going to win this one, and Flair's going to take some time off. For whatever reason, people love getting up out of their seats when they hear Ronda Rousey's theme music. The match itself has potential to be good. They're both very good athletes. I think this could be a really good showing by the two of them. Hopefully they surprise us, but I do not think that Charlotte's going to retain. I'm not that invested in the feud. I'm more happy to see it be over, and I think Ronda Rousey's going to win this one with a submission because that's what they've been teasing the whole time. And that's all I got to say about that one. Moving on to the Women's Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship match. We've seen all these women interact in different ways in the last couple weeks. We've seen Zelina Vega take a boatload of pins. They got all kinds of dissension with the champions. Carmella's always over with Corey Graves during the matches, leaving Zelina Vega to get pinned by somebody. This last week, it was Ripley pinning Vega after Liv Morgan beat up Vega a little bit. And that was the first time Rhea and Liv got a pin or a win of any kind in this. Zelina and Vega have won one time. Baszler and Natalya have won once or twice. But I think this is all about Sasha Banks and Naomi's team. I think they're putting Sasha Banks and Naomi in a premier position here to try to, number one, showcase them, and also to help build up their tag division for the women. Originally it was in the plans, according to a tenured member of the creative team, for Sasha Banks to win the Royal Rumble and face Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, beat Charlotte Flair for her first ever WrestleMania win. That's obviously not happening because at that time, Sasha was nursing an injury. That's why we didn't see her much, or when we did, it would be for a limited amount of time. Think back to the Rumble. She was the number one person in the Rumble, came out in the beautiful Sailor Moon gear, and, not long after she did that split thing in the ring to make fun of Melina, was she eliminated 10 minutes into the match. Did not do much. They put her at number one to show her off because she's a star, but they protected her very well because she was hurt. Got her out of there in 10 minutes. Naomi's also been hurt a little bit recently, too, and that's why she had the feud with Sonya Deville. That's why a lot of the matches that happened there were not full matches. They were a couple minutes, and Baszler would interfere or Sonya would get involved. And that's the story there. That, a lot of people don't know why they put people in certain programs, and that's why Naomi wasn't getting the match. But I'll tell you what, when Naomi had that match with Charlotte Flair, she sure as hell showed everybody who was watching that she belongs up at the top of the card in a premier position. That was one of the better women's matches, singles matches we've seen all year, if not the best. I think that Naomi and Sasha will take this one. Sasha will make somebody tap out with the bank statement. In my opinion, it'll most likely be Carmella, because Carmella's always been the one out of the ring when all hell breaks loose, hiding, trying to go to Corey for comfort. I think in this situation, she's not going to get there. Sasha Banks is going to get to Carmella. Now, this match, part of what they've done when they've had all these women together is they've had it's been a calamity of stuff. They have an opportunity to show off all 8 of these women, make them all look good in a match, and only one of them has to take a pin. So I really hope they book this match, produce it, and have it make sense and not a complete clusterfuck like some of the times they've had, these tag matches or fatal 4-ways with just one member of each team. It needs to make sense. It's been successful sometimes and looked good. I thought the one on Raw was terrible when it was 4-on-4, but whatever. If they can come in here and have a good showing, they can have 8 women look good, and like I say, only pin one. That's really the reason why they're doing this, so they have an excuse to have 8 of their featured women be on WrestleMania, be in a premiere match, try to show them off, and only one of them has to eat a pin here or a submission. And I think in this case, we're going to see Sasha Banks tap out Carmella with the Banks statement. I don't see anything else happening. It'll probably be a pretty long match. They got to figure out a way to get certain people out of the ring, and, things have to come down to 2 people where they have the opportunity to make a pinfall. I think we're going to see false falls all over the place. And but this match won't be anywhere near as great as the Raw Tag Team Championship, which we're going to get to in a minute. So now we have Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. And the story here is that Austin Theory is Vince McMahon's protege. We have Pat McAfee, former NFL punter, Smackdown analyst. Austin Theory has been antagonizing Pat McAfee, and McAfee has been chasing him but not able to get his hands on him. He finally will at WrestleMania. However, I just don't think that they can have Austin Theory get beat by an announcer right now. If they do, I think that's positioning him wrong, although I don't think it's like he cannot recover from it. He's been already antagonizing Finn Balor and things like that, so I think he's going to move on to that feud after WrestleMania if something else doesn't happen with Finn Balor. But in this case, I think Pat McAfee, we saw him in NXT. We saw him have a good match there. He's going to have a good match with Austin Theory. We're going to be dazzled. He'll get one of the bigger babyface reactions for his intro, but I think at the end, the wrestler will win the match against the announcer. I think that's the way it should go. If it doesn't go that way, that's fine. This may be the match where, people want to talk about Shane McMahon getting involved in things. This might be the match where Shane McMahon gets involved in something and maybe helps Austin Theory win or helps McAfee beat Austin Theory because he doesn't like the fact that Vince is taking a liking to Theory. I don't know. I don't see Shane getting involved in the Rollins thing, but this could be a spot for him too, if anything. But like I've stated before, I think all the Shane talk is a bunch of malarkey and a bunch of things, a bunch of clickbait. Clickbait. I couldn't even go to work today because there was so much clickbait I had to go through. All right. Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn. Anything goes match. It's been rumored that this match may be an episodical match that goes through the length of the show, and they show bits and pieces of it throughout. I actually don't think that's going to happen. I was talking about that last night. My correspondent thought it would. I don't. I think it'll be a regular match. I think all kinds of crazy shit's going to happen. Multiple members of Jackass may get involved, but at the end of the day, Sami Zayn's going to win this match because he's the wrestler. Johnny Knoxville's going to take the anything goes too far, try to do way too much, and Sami Zayn will win the match. I have gone back and forth on this one, thinking maybe, Johnny Knoxville will win because anything goes is what he would probably really want, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Sami Zayn will figure out a way to win this match because Knoxville will go over the top with his jackass shit. The New Day, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, taking on Sheamus and Ridge Holland with Butch at ringside. Originally, this was supposed to be Big E as a part of the New Day against Sheamus, Holland, and Butch. Be nice to see New Day win this match. Just as a nod to Big E, I think that's actually what's going to happen. I think the original plan was for Sheamus's bunch to win, but I think they'll put over the baby faces here, and then maybe the following week on SmackDown in a rematch, that's when Sheamus, the heels, start to make their push because they need to build heels. They need to build people in general. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods do not need this win at all. I think the only reason that they would win this match is because, to get some retribution for the fact that their team member was injured. They have mentioned that on SmackDown a little bit, not much. But other than the Xavier Woods roll-up, we've seen a lot of Sheamus's team beating down on New Day's team. And I think in this situation, we're going to see New Day win. But in long term, Sheamus and Ridge Holland and Butch are going to stand tall because I think even though New Day will win this match, I think that they'll get beat down after the match with Butch, maybe a bunch of chairs. Officials will have to come in, and it'll really put an exclamation point on the Fight Club or Fight Night faction and just how badass they are or presented. Moving on, we have Seth freaking Rollins versus Cody Rhodes, or an opponent to be announced. We're going to assume it's Cody Rhodes here. We have to think in this situation, who needs to win this match? I do not think that the incoming Cody Rhodes needs to win. I do not think that Seth Rollins needs to win. I think they will both be fine if they lose. Remember back to when WCW guys, the Radicals and things like that, started to come into the WWE. They all were getting beat every single week. WWE has a history of putting their guys over other companies' guys, but I think this is a little bit different. Cody Rhodes was in WWE. We all know his story. Went to AEW to start that. Now he's back. I think he will win this match because Seth can recover from this the next day, and you want to give Cody a good debut. He'll have a big entrance. This will be a big deal, a good match. And I think Cody goes over and Seth stays, and it's not going to hurt Seth at all to lose this match. And we'll go from there. Rey and Dominic Mysterio taking on Logan Paul and The Miz. I think Rey and Dominic Mysterio are going to easily win this match. This is going to be a spot fest. We're going to see frog splashes, 619s, shimmy shakes, all that stuff. And I think it'll end with Logan Paul turning face and turning on The Miz. We foreshadowed that on Raw. There's not that much to say about this match. I do not see the Mysterios breaking up. I do not see Dom earning a mask yet. I think this is all about Logan Paul coming in there, getting booed, having a bunch of spots. This match might even be on the pre-show. And Rey and Dom will go over here. McIntyre and Happy Corbin. They've been making a big deal about the fact that Happy Corbin's undefeated and all this stuff. Now, the truth is, McIntyre actually has not lost to Happy Corbin ever in a singles match. We've seen dissension between Madcap and Happy Corbin, and I think that's going to play in this match. I think Madcap's going to mess up Happy Corbin in this match. Drew's going to go over, but it's going to be a hell of a match. You know, people criticize this program because they're like this dumbass gimmick that Happy Corbin's in, which I agree. I don't think anybody can say that the Happy Corbin gimmick is a great gimmick. And people are like, what the fuck are they putting McIntyre into this situation for? You know, they've ruined this. McIntyre and Baron Corbin are good friends. They're people that like working together. They're having fun. It is what it is. After this, there's plans for McIntyre to make a Universal title run. So, you know, it is where it is now. McIntyre's going to go over here. He's going to get his sword back or whatever. And I really hope this is the end of the Happy Corbin gimmick. I hope that after this they go back to something else. And I also think that Madcap's going to cost Corbin the match, and they're going to split. We saw it on Monday where Happy Corbin walked away from the match. He's afraid of Drew McIntyre. He'll get his shit in. This will be a hard-hitting match. And McIntyre's going to win this one. Now we got Lashley and Omos. This is really one where you have to think, who does it help to win the match? If Lashley wins the match, it doesn't really do much for him because he's already a main eventer. If he loses the match, it's really not going to hurt him. He's still going to be a main eventer. If Omos wins the match, then he's defeated somebody who's not a fucking enhancement talent. If Omos loses the match, then he can only beat enhancement talents. So with that logic, I think this is an easy pick. Omos is going to win this match. However,
there's nobody. I am undefeated, and I will dominate everyone.
They've got to address that. They've got to address the fact that he's not a good promo. Because on top of that, you got MVP there managing Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's getting big babyface reactions now. He does not need MVP. He really doesn't need to be talking because he's no good on the mic anyway. You know, he's just a mess.
And the last person is Brock Lesnar, wherever you are. Brock, this is the closest you're ever going to get to this WWE Championship again. Because, Brock, I am going to beat you up inside that Elimination Chamber and walk away in WrestleMania in Dallas as your WWE.
I mean, he forgot that he was supposed to say WWE, forgot to say WrestleMania.
Seth Rollins, if you are really a visionary, you will clearly be able to see there is no way you're winning this WWE Championship against me.
He couldn't pronounce WWE correctly. So we got a problem here with two guys who can't cut promos. But to me, I think it'll elevate Omos so much more if MVP turns on Lashley. I think that's actually how Omos wins. Omos is going to win this match after MVP interferes, helps him win, and joins him to be his mouthpiece. Lashley will jump right back into the top of the card where he belongs. This won't hurt him at all. And that's all there is to it. Now we got a dream match, AJ Styles and Edge. We've all been waiting to see this one for years. I think this is going to be a great match. I don't think the heel turn was necessary for Edge, but I think the reason for the heel turn is that he's going to probably be working a program with Lesnar or something like that, some other babyface after Mania, and they want the heel Edge to stick for a little bit. I think to cement Edge as a heel, they're going to have him go over in this match, but I wouldn't be surprised to see AJ Styles win either. But like I say, they can't have baby faces win in every single match, and I think regardless of who wins this match, people may be on their feet giving it a standing ovation. This could be the match of the weekend. On top of that, Edge's heel turn wasn't necessary. No. They could have just told us these two were going to have a match. We could have never seen them cut a promo or do anything, and it would be an outstanding match no matter what. Obviously, that's not the case. Edge has done the dramatic heel turn. He's good at it. He's always been better as a heel anyway, but it's in my opinion, it's been a little heavy-handed. At the end of the day, I think they will have Edge win this match and sort of maintain and cement himself as that dirty heel that he has become. Now we're going to talk about Smackdown Tag Team Championships. We got the Bloodline represented by the Usos here as the incumbent champions, defending against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. The Rick Boogs entrance is one of the most over things in the WWE right now. He's going to have 60,000 people yelling for him when he enters. It's going to be exciting for him. I think this match has a lot to do with Roman Reigns. Now, like I say, I try to think about everything that's going to happen and how everything can tie together. Not all the fucking champions can win, although not all of them can fucking lose either. But to me, there's got to be something that weakens the Bloodline a little bit to put a little bit more doubt into the match between Brock and Reigns on Sunday. And as well as that, it also brings in another conflict within the Bloodline if the Bloodline were to lose. Having said that, I think Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs are going to win this. They're going to win the tag team belts. Nakamura probably had one of the worst championship reigns ever when he held the IC title belt and did nothing with it. But let's be fair, he was injured for most of that time, and it was on WWE to either book him in a way where he could drop that belt still being injured or keep him holding that belt and doing nothing. It was never really explained. It confused a lot of casual fans, but whatever. It seems to be happening a lot lately. People are wondering where's Sasha, where's Naomi, where's Shinsuke, where's Alexa Bliss. People are fucking hurt. And they're not going to be on TV if they're hurt. Asuka, Bayley, they've been fucking hurt. I don't understand why people can't. You tell them one time and they still, where is this person? What are they doing? They're fucking hurt. They're at home recovering. Jesus Christ. All right, so I got Nakamura and Boogs beating Usos. I got no confidence in that. If I was going to rank these in confidence, that might be the least confident match I have because the Usos do work very good as a tag team, and Nakamura and Boogs have won all the single matches ahead of this. And usually when they have a tag team title match going into it, single matches going ahead of it, one team wins all these single matches, the actual tag team wins the tag team match. So, that's usually what we see. I remember I was just watching back WrestleMania 15, which I was at in Philadelphia. They had a tag team title match in that. Before that, they had a bunch of single matches. The underdog team would win the single matches, but then the tag team champions retained. And a lot of this stuff happens. But I think to weaken the Bloodline, Shinsuke, Nakamura, and Boogs are going to win this one. And they're going to give Shinsuke a title reign that he can do something with and help elevate Boogs a little bit because they like him a lot and they want to give him a push. It's going to start with the tag team belts, get the Usos doing something else. Now, here's the match that I think is going to be the best match of the whole weekend. And I've been looking forward to this ever since I seen it at a couple house shows and since I seen the match with RK Bro, Alpha Academy, Rollins, and Kevin Owens. And that's the Raw Tag Team Championship match with RK Bro, Street Profits, and Alpha Academy. I think this is going to be an absolute banger. I think they can go for up almost an hour, putting on spots. Montez Ford with his athleticism. They can get everybody out front. He can do his big Superman plancha. They can get Otis to do a Tower of Doom. Montez Ford can be in there taking a beating from somebody, as could Riddle. So you got good workers in this match. Chad Gable's an outstanding worker. I mean, he's just been phenomenal on the mic, phenomenal in the ring. Randy Orton's, basically taking out another lease on life. And I think this is going to be exciting, man. I really think that this is going to, if it's done correctly, it could be one of the better matches we see. I think RK Bro will retain because it's just too hot right now. Things are going too good for them. If they split them up now, it's not a good idea. Like I say, all the belts aren't going to change hands, and I got a lot of them changing hands. And I just don't see them splitting yet. All these rumors about RK Bro and Riddle and Orton might split. I don't think that's going to happen. Got rumors about Street Profits. Are they going to split? No. If anything, they'll turn heel, even though they're actually just natural baby faces. But if they split, they're going to leave Angelo Dawkins in the dust, and Montez Ford is going to take off like a rocket ship. So I wouldn't mind seeing that for the sake of Montez Ford. But for Angelo Dawkins, if they split the Street Profits up, where's he going to go? He's not going to survive on his own. They need to find him something else first. And then for Alpha Academy, I wouldn't be surprised if they win their belts back here. But I just don't think they will on this stage. They might in a week or so, but I see RK Bro winning this match. Now, if RK Bro doesn't win, I looked into this. When they have lost matches, when they lost their belts, it was Orton who took the pin from Otis. I was actually there in Philadelphia for Raw. But in other matches that they've done, when they lose, it's Orton taking the pin. So, if they did break up, it could be a thing where Riddle actually turns heel on Orton. But, like I said, that's not going to happen. RK Bro's going to win this one and retain their belts, and that's all there is to it as far as I'm concerned. Moving on. Winner takes all. Title unification match. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. This is a tough one. I've gone back and forth on it. I was locked into what I thought it was going to be. Then I heard somebody I really trust give me a very compelling argument for why Brock Lesnar is going to win. But at the end of the day, I just think that they cannot ruin this record reign that Roman Reigns is on. He's in the company of Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, Santino Morales as a title reign, as far as the title reign goes. If he can, they're not going to have another opportunity to logically exceed those people for a very long time. Wrestling goes in cycles, and at times they have a top star driving the entire business, which is what it is now. Roman Reigns is driving that product. Yes, the other people there are talented. I'm a huge fan of a lot of the performers, but he's the headliner. There's other points of time where the championship is more of a prop, and they're playing hot potato of it because the talent at the top of the card is more concentrated. Whether or not anybody's as transcendent or as great as Roman Reigns, during those times, it's more equal at the top. Right now, it's not, and this is a time where they need their top champion to hold on to that belt until the right person comes along for WWE to make the person to dethrone Reigns. If it's Brock Lesnar, it's another person who, yes, he's been more full-time lately. He's done a lot more. He's, been around. But he's not the same as a Braun Breaker or a homegrown talent. And I think that that's what they're going to that's what they want to be what takes away Roman Reigns' reign. No pun intended. The other thing about this is that, on Monday, I felt Brock's promo was a little bit weak. I felt like he wasn't acting like this was serious. He was very flippant, and, I think that's going to be part of the story why he loses. He's not as dialed in as Roman. Roman looked like a star the other night. He was confident. He brought up the past and showed his emotions. He made us feel like this is a different matchup and that this really matters to him. And he has not beaten Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania in 2 attempts. This is his 3rd. That might be all the reason why he's going to win. But at the end of the day, to me, it's more about Roman Reigns and this trek that he's on. Won the Universal title, dominated everybody he faced, stacked Edge and Daniel Bryan last year. Then he became more of a underhanded heel that's very confident but also very scared of certain people when they're there. And they've illustrated that with him and Lesnar. He's confident to talk shit on him when he's not around, but when Lesnar's there, he wants to get the hell out of Dodge. And what that does is it gives us, the viewers, it makes us want to see them put their hands on each other. But when they don't put their hands on each other and they threaten it, it makes us want to see it even more. And they've done it in different ways, and they've shown different motivations for why they want to have this match. I think it's a great build. I think that it's a different build. Anybody that says it's boring and the same thing isn't paying attention to everything, or they're just hating. I think this is going to be an outstanding match. I'm torn on who's going to win, really, because it really could be Brock, but I'm going to pick Roman. I'm going to lock that in right now. Roman Reigns will be the unified champion. As I stated earlier, Lesnar's going to be around for a couple pay-per-views coming up. So who the hell knows what's going to happen? Maybe he rematches with Roman at Backlash, and then Money in the Bank, he's working with Edge or something like that. I don't know. And as far as my tiebreaker goes, tiebreaker for this is going to be the amount of time, bell to bell, that the Roman and Brock match is. I'm going to lock in my pick at 23 minutes, 47 seconds. I think that's how long the match will be. I think we're looking at a CM Punk match type ending where Brock Lesnar's so pissed off at the Bloodline and Paul Heyman that he tries to go after Paul Heyman. That gives Roman Reigns the window to hit 4 Superman punches, a couple spears, put him in the guillotine, choke him out, or just pin him, I don't know. I actually think he'll win by pinfall, by hook or by crook, and Roman Reigns will go on as our unified champion, and his next feud, if he doesn't have to face Brock again, will be with none other than Drew McIntyre. So that's my prediction there for WrestleMania. I'll give you some more in-depth stuff later tonight. Also have our Smackdown Live review. But I wanted to get this out there because, I'm seeing everybody put out predictions and put out stuff and put out news that doesn't make any fucking sense. I heard some guys on a podcast the other day making predictions, and before they started their predictions, they said, well, I haven't watched WWE in a year and a half. Well, then what the fuck are you predicting? You gave away your credibility before you even started talking. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, the guy says, oh, I looked at a picture of Boogs for the first time in my life last night. I don't like him, so I think the Usos will. What the fuck is this guy talking about? Why the fuck are people talking about shit that they don't even fucking watch? I mean, seriously, it's pissing me off. But the bottom line is, relax. Nothing crazy is going to happen. Well, something crazy might happen, but as far as with the rumors, nothing crazy is going to happen. Undertaker's not coming out at 50-something years old to do anything, and I don't want him to. I do not want my kids to see the fucking Undertaker's 50-something-year-old body come out there on a 100-yard fucking ramp and try to do anything, all right? If I want to see the Undertaker, I've seen him enough in the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression era, and so have my kids. That's what we'll go back and watch. I do not need to see this shit where they bring back these legends like they did with Taker and Goldberg in Saudi Arabia a couple years ago. Goldberg can't even fucking lift him up and almost breaks his neck. I don't want to see shit like that. But speaking of it, we are going to see something like that because Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be on the KO show, which is rumored to be the last thing going off the air on Saturday. I think that's the only thing they can do because if they have him in the middle, they're going to lose fans because it's a 2-day. If you're going to WrestleMania Sunday, right, and you're there Saturday, then all of a sudden they have this match. They have this fucking KO segment in the middle of the show, and you're not really that into the other matches, or you want to beat traffic, or you don't feel good, or whatever. You're going to fucking leave, and then half the stadium's going to be empty for these women's matches. Now, I think these women's matches are going to be good. I think Becky and Bianca are going to be outstanding. I think Charlotte and Rousey, despite the fact that they've been fucking robots, I think their match is going to be good. And people should see that. But if you put Stone Cold before them, you risk losing people who are just in that for Stone Cold. You need to keep everybody there. You put Becky's match on first to start it off. You put Rousey and Flair on right before the KO thing, and it's fine. They've done things where they called it. I mean, a main event's the last match, but they've done things where they call things a main event. They've done things where they call 3 matches a freaking main event. But a couple years ago, the last WrestleMania that was one night, the main event was women's. Last year, there was a women's main event. I don't think that it's totally disgusting to have no women's main event at this. They have a lot of women on this card. You know, they're doing a lot of things progressively with women. I don't have a problem with anything. I'm just excited, really, so I don't have to hear that damn Weekend song after this weekend. But, like I say, tonight, I'm going to have Kyle on, get some predictions. Going to get some analysis from him. We'll hear from Brad, get his predictions. Then I'll be back tomorrow. And we'll head right into WrestleMania. Thanks for joining me, guys.